All right, well, it looks like our numbers are holding pretty steady here, so we're going to go ahead and get started on this webinar. Again, I'm Jacob Vanderwerf. I'm an admissions counselor here. I cover Northwest Washington, Southwest Washington, Alaska, the Midwest, and the Northeast United States. So if you're from any of those places, I'm your admissions counselor. You probably get some good communication from me, but it's good to be with you again. Yeah, so today we'll be going through the different residence halls at Whitworth. Hopefully we can get you a little extra information. We've got some student panelists right here, people who have lived in those residence halls, people who are at Whitworth, and they'll be able to speak very clearly and eloquently about what it's like to live on campus, what it's like to live in these different residence halls. So to start, I'll have each of them introduce themselves, and we'll start off with Andrew.
Hi everyone, my name is Andrew Tanner. I am going to be a junior at Whitworth and I'm a health science major. And I've lived in Mac and Duval. If you have any questions about either of those halls. No.
Awesome. Next, we'll have Oliver introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Oliver Hammond. I am from Spokane, Washington, and I'm got one more year left to Whitworth, and I'm studying theology. I've lived in Duval and in Oliver, so yeah.
Liza, you gonna go next?
Hi, I'm Liza. I also have 1 year left. I am an elementary education major, and I have lived in Duval both of my years at Whitworth.
Megan?
Hi everyone, my name is Megan. I'm a junior here at Whitworth University studying psychology. I've been a resident assistant in the Village / Baldwin Jenkins and have lived in Oliver. So if you have any questions, just please let me know.
And then last but not least, Carly.
Hi, my name is Carly. I'm a third year. I'm studying nursing and I lived in Ballard and BJ at Whitworth.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to go through a brief presentation about just a few things housing related to Whitworth, but just some general housekeeping. This webinar is being recorded, so if you want to come back later and watch it again, maybe somebody dropped a helpful hint or some information that you really thought was useful, you can come back to that. Another thing, we'll be taking questions and at the end answering all those questions. So if you see on the bottom of your Zoom page, it has a chat function and it has a Q&A function. If you're having technical difficulties or anything like that, please drop it in the Q&A or the chat section. But if you have any questions, please drop it in the Q&A section. We'll then potentially answer it as we go, or maybe we'll get back to it at the end and we'll dive into it there. But if you have questions, again, please drop it in the Q&A section. Thank you, guys. So yeah, residence halls at Whitworth. So one general thing is when you come to Whitworth, we're going to provide you with some basic things already. So you won't need to buy everything. We'll have an XL twin bed with a frame and a mattress, right? So if you're looking to buy sheets, buy that size. But that's the bed that we provide for you. And you also have a dresser, a desk, and a chair, no matter what residence hall you're in. You also have a closet or wardrobe to store different things, and you'll have laundry facilities in every single residence hall. So those laundry facilities allow you to wash your clothes at Whitworth. Yeah. And generally, we'd say pack light. In college, it's not like you have a ton of space in a residence hall. It's plenty of space, but you don't want to be bringing like a full-size refrigerator or I don't know, like 3 different types of reclining chairs. You probably don't want to bring all that stuff, right? It's gonna fill up a little too much. But if you go to that link at the bottom, the whitworth.edu/what to bring, that can kind of tie you in and connect you with some of those different things that could be useful. And then actually selecting your residence halls. So if you go to this website, www.whitworth.edu/app status, which is just your status page. Hopefully you guys have kind of been able to already be a part of that. You've probably deposited through there. Maybe you've been filling out some different forms through there. But if you go on there, you can choose your housing preference form and you can select what residence hall you're most interested in. And don't worry, you still have time to submit that. The deadline isn't for a little bit. So if you go through this this webinar and you think, whoa, I really like Errand now, actually, I'd like to live in Errand. No worries, you can go in and switch that right now and we'll accommodate that for you. So like I just said, next steps, fill out that housing preference form by June 10, and then start looking for your rooming assignments early in July. We'll be communicating with that with you, but those will come out in July. You can reach out then to your future roommate if you'd like. You don't have to, no pressure. But yeah, you'll get those results and you'll know what residence hall you're in and who your roommate is. So then after that, you can maybe start packing, or at least planning to pack. Maybe starting to pack in July is way too early. You can at least start kind of thinking about like, oh, what do I want to bring a TV? I'm going to bring a couch. How are we going to do that together? And then you'll actually move in on August 31st. Orientation will start and the school year will begin. So that's kind of just a general next steps for you there. Then finally, if you still have some questions, again, that whitworth.edu/what to bring is super useful. If you scan that QR code, it'll bring you right to that link here. So you can go ahead and do that if that's helpful. Yeah, so that's a really brief presentation, right, about a little bit of housing at Whitworth. If you have more questions, we'll get those answered at the end. Remember, don't forget to drop your questions in the Q&A section. I'm sure you guys do have questions, so continue to drop those in there. But next, we'll start going through kind of a virtual 360 view of the different residence halls at Whitworth. So I'm going to share my screen here quick. All right. So, yeah. Andrew, want to take it away?
Sure. So this is the lounge in Errand. Errand is the residence hall right across from the hub where the cafe and NPR and dining hall is. Um, it's usually pretty quiet in the lounge, but as you can see, there's a pool table and a piano and a few couches. There is a kitchen in the corner, I believe, and also a tennis table. Or maybe just another piano. Okay. Cool. And then that stairwell at the end of the room leads out into the main entranceway. It also has a few couches, but yeah, I think RAs often host prime times in the lounge from 8 to 10 p.m. every evening, and those are pretty fun. So yeah. And here is a typical room in Errand. Um, they're a pretty decent size, I would say, for two people. Not too small, but of course not too large. Pack light. Every hall has a shared bathroom, and then a common area in between both the halls. And I believe there's an honors hall in Errand if anybody's an honor student. You might be living there. Um, and yeah, there are also fire exits at the end of each hall, but don't use those to exit.
Good advice. All right, next we'll go to Baldwin Jenkins and show their lounge.
So Baldwin Jenkins is our all first year hall. We have a fireplace, a ping pong table. I believe we also have an air hockey table now in Baldwin Jenkins. We have a piano by the where the couches were. There's just got a lot of good space to just kind of gather around. There's a TV on that side, so if you wanted to play like games or something or watch a movie with your friends, you could do that. To the left, if you look at the door to the left, there's a kitchen on the far side. That's like our communal kitchen, so like you can cook like late night snacks or any meals that you wanted to in there. And yeah, it's really often filled with a lot of people because it's our first year hall. And so Baldwin Jenkins is pretty noisy. So if you, especially in the lounge, so it's a really great community if you wanted to um just be with fellow first years and to just have like, yeah, a bunch of fellowship with them. Um, there's a lot of like great windows. If you see that door over there, there's a little exit door so you can come in and out with your ID card that way. And yeah, it faces the parking lot. So if you wanted to park your car, that's a pretty easy way to come back up the stairs. So this is a typical room. What's really cool about Baldwin Jenkins is that we have actually like built-in storage. So you don't have like your typical like dresser, like it's like on that side, but like it's actually built in this time. So actually students find that they have more storage in there. We have your typical closet and then like a little dresser like on the side that you can share with your roommate. Um, pretty standard size. So if you bunk your beds, you can have a lot more room, but I think yeah, Baldwin Jenkins is a pretty standard size room. There's also communal lounges near the halls like that we can't see though, but there's like little lounges so that you could go there if you wanted to go hang out with your friends. And yeah, so it's decently sized. You can decorate it with whatever you want. But yeah.
Thanks, Megan. Next, we'll go to Ballard Hall.
So this is Ballard. I lived there this past year and I really loved it. It's a little smaller than the other residence halls, but because of the small size, we're able to really get to know one another, and the community there is very tight-knit. And it's all girls, so the kitchen is usually very clean, which is a great thing. And you'll get to know a lot of people in the lounge. A lot of people have meals at the kitchen together, and our lounge is a great space to get to know one another. And it's right next to the chapel. So if you want to go to chapel, it's like a 30-second walk, which is amazing. And there's a piano that is often played. And I think it's 4 floors if you include the basement. And yeah, it's a great place if you want a great community that's tight-knit. So this is a room in Ballard. I think the rooms, in my opinion, are a little bigger, but that could just be my room. I lived on the 3rd floor. My roommate and I lofted our beds, so we had a lot of storage under our bed, and that was great. And we also had a walk-in closet, which was amazing. That was on the 3rd floor. This one doesn't, but those closets are very spacious that they do provide. And one unique thing about Ballard is that we have like I guess we call it a brother dorm. So it's like Macmillan is the all boys dorm. And we do a lot of events together, and you can get to know the guys over there and just have great fellowship. And even though we are very separate, we do have a lot of events together. And I'm really close friends with the senator who's going to be living in Ballard, and she has some great events planned if anyone is going to live there next year. So it should be really fun.
Carly, do you have any idea like how many freshmen are in Ballard each year? Is there a good amount? Are there pretty few? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's a really good amount of freshmen. I think it's very common for freshmen to choose Ballard. There's definitely a lot of upperclassmen as well. It's a good mix between all the grade levels. But there's a good amount of freshmen for sure. And they'll usually put the freshmen kind of all together on a floor. That was my experience last year.
Awesome, thank you. Next, we'll go over to that brother hall that Carly talked about, Macmillan Hall.
So this is the Mac Lounge. You can see there are quite a few couches and a big smiley face. I think now there's a tennis table, or yeah, in the middle of there, which is used a lot. And there's also a TV on the wall now, but and a kitchen that is surprisingly kept pretty clean. Some guys will cook all their meals there, because a lot of guys just like to stay in Mac, and so, but it is kept pretty clean. The fridge is always very full. The vending machine's always usually full. And again, RAs will host prime times here from 8 to 10 every night, and they're a lot of fun. Usually some good board games and movies and stuff. And you will also hear the piano played quite a bit by the guys there. So yeah. And here is a typical room in Mac. I believe this one is on the 3rd floor, it looks like. And so as you can see right there, They have a walk-in closet, or I don't know if that's walk-in or not. They have a closet. They can put stuff in. Mac rooms are very decorated. As you can see here, looks like 2 guys live here. They're a little bit, I don't know. There's lots of different variation in the size of rooms in Mac. Some are pretty small, other ones are pretty large. Mac has triples, but Whitworth doesn't do triples anymore, so they're just big rooms for 2 people. And yeah, oh, this one is 2 closets. That's awesome. Yeah.
Andrew, you want to kind of talk about why Mac has such a like unique rooms and unique feel?
Yeah, Mac was the first ever building on Whitworth campus, I believe. It used to be like the entire school was in Mac. And so this building is from like the early 1900s. And you can tell when you get the cold water every single morning in winter. But yeah, very unique structure. There are lounges on each floor, and every floor shares a bathroom. Yeah, and a very wide variety of grade levels. Guys who stay there freshman year will often stay all through until they graduate. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things people like about McMillan. It's this original Whitworth building, but the rooms are super unique, right? Like some have lofts, they're unique shapes and sizes. So everyone is different.
Yeah. It's also all guys there. So yeah.
Yeah, do either you or Carly want to talk about a little bit that partnership between residence halls, between your 2 residence halls?
Yeah, so prime times will sometimes be held in the other residence hall and hosted by other RAs. And I know for Thanksgiving and maybe a couple other like holidays, they'll host big dinners where everybody's invited. And those usually set up pretty well. They're also just hosts like movie nights and stuff aside from prime times. And yeah, there's also a Mac talent show, I believe, in the chapel. That's always pretty entertaining. So yeah, I think Mac is one of the few dorms besides Bopel that is a quad. And I think this past year it was all guys named Andrew. So it's pretty cool. But yeah.
There's also a really fun event that Mac holds called Milk and Cookies. It's every Wednesday night, and basically it's what it sounds like. You just go to Mac and you have milk and cookies together, and it's a great way to get to know other people in BMAC.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Next, we'll head over to Duval Hall.
So I lived in Duval both years that I was on campus. This is the very first floor of Duval. Duval's kind of fun. It's kind of our castle, you know. We have in the front, there's a walkway into Duval, and then the grass goes down underneath all the way to the bottom floor. So it's kind of like a moat. Our mascot's a dragon. So you'll walk in, and this is the first floor you walk into. There's a fireplace on the first floor, well, this floor here, and then the floor right above it. They both have fireplaces, and then this floor also has a kitchen that we're making it to. There we go. There's the kitchen. So there's a nice big open kitchen here on this floor, and then a piano you can see behind the kitchen there. And then on either side of the wall, so if you went straight behind that wall, that's where you'll find pods. So what makes Duval unique is that they're pods, the areas you're living in. There's one door that opens up into 4 rooms. And each room houses 2 people. And then behind that door also you have a common space and a bathroom. So if you're not really into the full hall bathroom scene, and you kind of want your own space where you're just dealing with 7 other people, Duval is pods. So you'll have your own bathroom. You'll clean it yourself too, but I've just found that there's a lot of community there too. Just being in a pod creates just a natural environment of like a little friend group. You've got your other 7 people living in your little corner of a residence hall. So here's a room in Duval. Like I said, it's 2 people per room. I'm pretty sure Duval is all doubles. I don't think we have any singles or triples, which sounds like we don't do triples anymore anyways. But you'll see you get 2 desks, a desk per person, a bed per person, and then a wardrobe per person, and dressers as well, which were underneath the window in this view. Duval has lofted ceilings, so there's tons of room for decoration. I had lights up in my room. And just yeah, it doesn't make your lofted beds too tall. My roommate experience was awesome too. We stayed in the same room together for 2 years and are really good friends. So I really appreciated living in Duval.
Awesome. Thank you, Liza. Next, we'll go to Oliver.
Great. So Oliver is the newest dorm on campus, built in, or I guess finished in 2009. It was originally called East Hall, but then was renamed since it is the furthest east hall on campus. And you can see this is the first floor lounge area looking back over the back 40 and the Pirates Cove. You'll come to know what those things mean soon enough. We've got a ping pong table in here. We've got lots of couches. This stuff gets moved around a lot. There's a piano, nice grand piano, and the kitchen area over there to the left. Yeah, plenty of space for prime times, for hanging out. People are often out here doing homework, but not really doing homework, just hanging out with friends. RAs, different campus student leaders will be doing all sorts of things in this space. And oh, Jacob, your screen disappeared.
Sorry about that.
You're all good. I'll just keep talking about Oliver Hall. Yeah, that main area there, when you walk in to Oliver, you can see the first floor lounge, but also the second floor lounge. It's very open, lots of tall ceilings. Yeah, those doors you see right now are the main entrance. Yeah, four floors on Oliver. Oliver is the largest residence hall on campus as well.
One second, some technical difficulties over here. Let me change this to the room quick.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, this is a pretty typical Oliver room setup here. There's singles, doubles, and triples in Oliver. And pretty, like, if you're in a double, it's gonna be on the smaller side, especially compared to halls like Ballard, like Mac, like Errand even. All of our rooms are definitely on the smaller side, but with higher ceilings, nicer facilities for sure. And carpet as well makes a big difference as far as what the room feels like, how cold it gets during the winter as well. So this room, unlike a lot of the previous setups we've seen, does not have lofted beds. In Oliver, you can bunk your beds because of how high the ceilings are. What my roommate and I did, so I guess one of them is lofted. We both lofted our beds and put our dressers underneath our bed to save some floor space, since floor space is definitely at a premium in Oliver. Communal style bathrooms in this hall as well. And there's a fair amount of freshmen that end up living in Oliver this year. In the basement, one half of the basement was all freshman guys, one half was all freshman gals. And then first floor was all guys with a mix of freshmen, and then second and third floor were all ladies. So yeah, that's Oliver.
Awesome. Thank you, Oliver.
Mhm.
Now we'll briefly show the village. 1 second.
So I was actually an RA in the village this past year, and I loved being in there. The rooms are a little smaller because they are a single. So if you like wanted a single, like it's gonna be like a little small. What's interesting about Tiki is that Tiki, the women's floor is downstairs because normally the women's floor is like upstairs for most halls, but then Tiki is actually downstairs. And in my building in Akili, what was really great about it was that we had double rooms. So rooms were so like three of the rooms on each of the floors were basically double the size of a village room because we just like the way that it was set up, like you would get like a whole double to yourself if you had been in Akili. There's a lot of lounge space. We have a really small communal kitchen. There's about like 18 to 19 people per village building, so it is super small. We've had really great community with all first years living in the building. I've had really good attendance at prime times, and they've just been really fun because you can just kind of like make friends with other first years. Um, we have a little fire exit by like the stairs. No one really goes out those doors unless there's like an emergency. And yeah, so it's just really small, but it's a really nice tight-knit community as well. Some people in the village tend to be more reserved because it technically draws in people who are like on the shyer side or who are more introverted. So, but I really love living there. So
Thanks, Megan. All right, so now we'll be going into a little bit of a Q&A time. So again, I want to encourage people to keep dropping your questions in the chat. We'll answer those and hopefully get some helpful information to you guys. You can direct questions at any one of the panelists. You can direct it about any residence hall. We're here as a resource to hopefully help give some additional information. Yeah. There's some questions about single availability, like single rooms. So is it more than just the village? Where can you live in a single room?
I got this one. So village is like it's built to be a single, but if you have like a single room accommodation from the ESS, then you can really get a single room anywhere. But it's typically like more common for you to have a single in the village, but you can really get it anywhere if you can get it approved.
I've heard of a lot of singles in Mac and Ballard as well. So yeah, it's a common thing.
And then we've got a lot of questions continuing about kind of bathrooms and showers. So do people have some insights into like, is it communal showers? Is it individual showers? What is the bathroom situation? Do you have to clean your own bathroom no matter where you live? Kind of just that broad section of how that looks like. Anyone want to dive into that stuff?
Yeah, if you live in Duval, you'll be cleaning your own bathroom entirely, but you're only sharing that bathroom with the other people in your pod. But it is your job to keep it clean. There's check-ins, like weekly chore lists. But then if you're living, I think if you also live in Bopel, it's a different residence hall for upperclassmen, that's another one that you'll clean your own bathrooms. And then mostly halls like Ballard or Mac or Oliver, Baldwin Jenkins, those are all those are all halls that you will be that the bathroom will be getting cleaned for you. It's a communal bathroom, and so that won't be your job. That'll happen. But we do work really hard to keep spaces really clean and just being respectful of those living in your hall with you. So not leaving a bunch of mess when you leave places and not leaving your stuff everywhere and like cleaning up along the way, but it does get clean for you.
All right, another question about the laundry. Is that just coins, or is there a way to pay with debit? Is there laundry in every building? Anyone want to talk about laundry a little bit?
Yeah, every hall has washing and drying machines. Some halls more than others, but You'll have to download an app on your phone called PayRange. And you can pay like 10, 25, up to like $50 whenever you need it. And that's how you set the settings on the washers and the dryers, and that's where you start them from. And it'll keep a timer on your phone, let you know when your clothes are ready to be picked up or moved.
Thanks, Andrew. That's helpful. Does anyone want to speak to the honors hall? I know it was mentioned a little bit. Does anyone want to kind of talk more about that? I don't know if anyone's lived in that or anyone has a friend who's lived there, but just touch on that briefly.
Yeah, I can talk about this. The system was a little bit different when I was a freshman. We actually just had one honors pod for guys. So that was when I was living in Duval. It was all of 401 was honor students. Now it's a whole floor. Well, I guess when I was a freshman, it was a whole floor for women, but it's different for the guys. So I think the whole, like, if you're interested in the honors program, I strongly recommend emailing Dr. Bert Emerson. I think his email is just D Emerson. Look him up, talk to him, see if you can, email him, call him, whatever, just to hear what his idea, like his whole vision with the honors program is. But the idea is, people from various disciplines, if you've been admitted with honors, you can participate in the honors program regardless of if you're an English major, health science, physics, CS, music, whatever you do. And just the idea is to have conversations, build community. There's lots of honors events also. You don't have to live in the honors hall or honors floor to participate in events, but these sorts of things are made available just to enrich your time at Whitworth.
Another question about, is there a specific hall where a lot of athletes live, or are athletes kind of intertwined into all the different halls?
There are all sorts of athletes in Duval. I think we had a lot of swimmers, a lot of soccer players. I think a lot of athletes also consider where their hall is based on where the facilities that they'll be using are. So a lot of our athletic facilities are on the west side of campus. So we do have a lot of people that I think Erin is also often an athlete. Like a lot of athletes will live in Erin just because it's closer towards those athletic facilities and central on campus. But ultimately, I think there's a decent amount of athletes spread throughout all of our residence halls. Every 1 in 5 students on campus is an athlete. So it's a common thing to have a lot of athletes in all of the residence halls.
Carly, a question for you. We have another question about Ballard. Do you just want to talk a little bit more? Like, do you feel like Ballard's like a pretty nice place to live? Do you feel like the quality of things there are good? Just talk a little more about your experience there.
Yeah, the quality of everything was great. I never had an issue, but I know a sink broke below me and they submitted a work form and it got fixed that week. So if anything breaks, you submit a work form and it will get fixed. I had a great experience. It's an older building for sure, but everything's working and the laundry was great. No issues.
Awesome, thank you. And then I don't know if any of you guys cook very much on campus, or what your experience is like that, using the different kitchens in the residence halls, and then any suggestions you would have with like what pots and pans to bring, or is that provided?
I can speak to that one. You will have everything. I mean, unless you're going to be cooking something really specific that you need a certain implement for, you'll have pretty much everything you need provided for you in the RA closet, which is just a closet with a bunch of stuff that the RAs have access to. That's the resident assistant. So there'll be one living in each hall. So you'll get to know your particular RA, and they can let you in there and you can take whatever you want. You just got to clean it and give it back. But I do recommend, if you are going to be cooking frequently, to bring your own stuff just for convenience and consistency. Like in Oliver, there's inside the kitchen, there are little lockers that you can get access to store your own things. So that's what I think about kitchen staff.
Adding on to that, you're not allowed to have knives like stored in your room that are like more than 3 inches. So like if you have like cooking knives, you'll often have to give them to your RA, and then they'll store it in the RA closet for you, and then you can get it anywhere or anytime between 8 to 10. Just contact the RA on call and they'll go and get it for you.
I think there's another question that got put in the chat about changing residence halls or room situations when something doesn't work out. In our Hickson Union building, the hub, it's central on campus. Well, actually, first I would go to an RA. So if you're having problems, we have resident assistants on in every floor that are there to help you with residential things. So whether you're having problems, whether you want just someone to hang out with, whether you want to just talk or share food. But if you're having resident issues, then you go to your RA, and then also there's an AC who is our area coordinator that just is even over the RAs. And they're super helpful in solving those problems. Or if your room doesn't work out, they're super helpful in like helping you move rooms if you need to. And then even further than that, we have a student life office in the hub that is also there to help you with any residential issues, anything like changing your rooms. There's all sorts of help if that does become an issue.
Thanks, Liza. Another question, kind of, when you guys were coming in as first year students, what is something that you maybe had to buy that you didn't think you would have to buy, or what's something or maybe a good place to buy those items in the Spokane region, or something you specifically brought with you that you thought was helpful? Any stuff like that?
I can take this one first. So I'm from Hawaii, and I didn't bring much up. Like I brought like a lot of my clothes. I brought, what else did I bring? Like just like things that I would need to like my sheets. I brought those beforehand because sometimes the sheets actually like will run out. I don't know if it's runs out like near Whitworth, but when like college students are moving in, oftentimes like if parents are coming from out of state, some of my friends just told me to buy my sheets beforehand, and so you have them washed, and so that once you get into your room you can just put them all on your sheets or on your bed, and then you have like all of your sheets like all just ready. I know my parents helped me buy like the appliances up there, so like a kettle. I didn't originally have a fridge, but if you wanted a fridge, like you could definitely like go and buy it up there. But try to pack light, like coming back up, like if you're coming like from out of state, like packing light is always really good, because then there are stores like Fred Meyer's. We used to have Bed Bath and Beyond, but that's not there anymore. But Target is like super close to Whitworth. It's like 0.8 miles away, so you can walk there, or you can have a friend with a car to bring stuff, like to help you like buy stuff and like bring it over to your hall. What else are another good stores? We have a bunch, but like yeah. So I thought it was like pretty easy to go buy stuff, or like if I ran out of things, it was pretty easy to go to the store to go get some more.
Anyone else want to touch on things they found to be useful that they brought with them?
Yeah, I think. Sorry,
oh,
you
you
go
go.
first.
You go.
Okay. One of the great things about Whitworth's location in Spokane is you're about, I mean, less than 10-minute drive, and you can get pretty much anything you want for a room. Whether you forget command strips, or what have you, or not command strips, push pins, or I don't know, like whatever things you need to be hanging. I think one of the most important things that I learned my freshman year moving into a room is that it's so helpful to have decorations on the walls and things on the walls and lamps. Because if you're just using the overhead light and your walls are blank, it will feel a little bit like a hospital room, and that's not home. So that would be my biggest recommendation, and probably the best thing I learned freshman year. So
I would also say reach out to your roommate and try to coordinate with your roommate, because that will really help you, and you guys can hopefully decide who's going to bring what. And I know for me, I'm an out-of-state student. I'm from California, so that really helped. And I definitely recommend reaching out to your roommate ahead of time before you move it to campus.
Two things that changed, one practical and one just fun, that changed my experience living on campus. My first one was actually I bought like a collapsible laundry, like laundry dryer. So instead of having all of my, like, as an athlete, I didn't really want to throw all of my my athletic clothes in the dryer. And I didn't really want them just hanging on all of my furniture all around the room. So I actually had just like a collapsible rack for all of my laundry that I didn't want to throw in the dryer. That was something that was super helpful that I got once I got on campus after like a month of just having clothes around my room trying to dry them. The second thing is, this one's kind of goofy, but my roommate brought a disco ball, and it completely changed my experience living on campus. Actually, just my window is east facing too, so every morning I'd wake up and there were like sparkles all over my room. So kind of just to talk to having something else in your room, some other form of light, just something to make it feel special for you, where you can come back to your room and be excited about being there.
Thanks, Liza. Love it. Disco ball for some dance parties. Another question, how safe is campus, right? Do you guys feel pretty safe when you're here? Anyone want to talk about security? Somebody dive into that.
I can. We have these blue poles, kind of set like all over campus, but they have like an emergency like in white on them, and there's two buttons on it. There's one to call campus security, and then there's another one to call 911. So if you had like an emergency, or like you needed to campus security for something, that's really easy. An easy way to contact them in case you can't get your phone out in time or your phone's dead. We also have within our campus security, if you don't feel safe like walking back like from night classes, or you just like don't feel safe like walking back to your hall, the security guard will pick you up once you call them and then drive you to wherever you need to go. One time I had to go from literally from the village to Baldwin Jenkins, and they're super close, but there was like a sketchy person on campus. So I just called security and I was like, can you drive me to Baldwin Jenkins? And he was like, yeah, and he was really nice about it, and he gave me like chocolate too. So they're really nice and they really love to help you. So I normally feel safe walking back from night classes. I've had multiple, because there's like lights all over, walking that light, the walkways all the way to the hall. So I never felt like, yeah, I never felt like unsafe. But if you ever do, that they're there for you.
Yeah, I'll add on that a little bit. Spokane is generally a safe city. It has very low violent crime rates, well below the national average. And Whitworth's actually on the north side of campus, or the north side of the city. It's in a wealthier area, with even fewer crimes. So it really is a safe region. The only thing you have to be worried about is maybe some petty theft. So make sure to lock up your bike or something. If you just leave that bike out there, that could get dragged away. But other than that, you're likely going to be very fine and very safe. Another question, the on-campus stores. Anyone want to talk about that? How useful is that for getting the supplies you need? Anyone want to touch on that?
Yeah. I believe the campus store is pretty well stocked. They have all sorts of notebooks, different sizes, pencils, pens. That's where you'll get your textbooks as well. Once you order them online, they'll get shipped there. There's also a Staples really close to campus, right by where the Target is. And they keep pretty well stocked too. So yeah, you can also get like tech stuff like AirPods and chargers and stuff on the campus store. So yeah, if you need any of that, you can head there.
Thanks, Andrew. Two questions regarding transportation. One, should you bring a bike, or would you recommend it? Two, if you have a car, what residence hall has the best parking, and any tips for parking on campus?
I'd love to talk on this one. A bike if you're going to be living in McMillan, it almost feels essential as part of the Mac culture to have a bike. Very few residence halls have nearly as many bike to person ratio, such a high bike to person ratio. I last 2 years have used like a longboard cruiser board deal to get around campus, and that has been super convenient when it's dry, not wet, not snowy, but a lot of the school year at Whitworth is going to be water on the ground, snow on the ground. And that's not great for getting around campus quickly, but it's such a small campus that I don't think it's necessary to have a bike. If you're an athlete living in Duval, that could be a great move to have a bike on campus to get all the way across from one end to the other for practice and whatnot. If you have a car, I think most residence halls have pretty good parking. People like to complain about parking a lot because students are lazy, myself included. I think Oliver does have the best parking available though. Or yeah, Oliver and Duval. So that's my take.
I think something to note for any of you living in BJ next year is that your parking lot will not be available. So the Duval, Oliver, Bopel Village parking lot will be extremely full. Um, I I don't know what they're supposed to do. I don't know if maybe you can park in the hub parking lot. It's probably the closest for you. But just as a note, if you're planning anything, your parking lot is not available. So yeah.
That's because we are building a brand new engineering building. But yeah, for the near future, that area is going to be kind of on the construction zone. All right, so final question then. We're gonna go in, and I'd love it if every single one of the panelists could just go around, then give, maybe you've already done this a little bit, but give just a piece of advice about living on campus as a first year student. Yeah, Andrew, you want to start us off?
Sure. Something to prevent your room from feeling like a hospital room, as Oliver said, was try not to spend a whole lot of time in your room. Something I did my freshman year that I found was super helpful for like my mental and physical health was studying elsewhere than my room. Robinson, the cafes on campus are really, really, really nice for that. It's also nice to like meet people who also study in there. So yeah, stay out of your, I don't know, you don't have to, but I would advise just find somewhere to study. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Oliver, you want to go next?
Yeah, I totally echo Andrew's advice. As someone who does not do any sort of STEM stuff, Robinson is a great building to be studying in. Just beautiful and super great. But piece of advice I would give is that it's okay to not be friends with your roommate, especially if you get a random assignment. My freshman year, I did a randomly assigned roommate. We were not buddies by any means, but like it was a great roommate experience. We had no conflict at all. So I would just like it's okay if you want to be best friends and like that works out too. That's cool. But I would set the expectation at a more reasonable level and just know that it's okay to not be best friends. So
Yeah, that's helpful, Oliver. Thank you. Liza, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think in that too, that wave of things like being okay, letting like, and when you get on campus to just engage as much as you can, whether it's something that you want to do or not. I found that I really had to push myself those first couple months to like actually like get involved and get engaged with people on campus. Orientation will force you to do that anyways, which is really good. So push into it, press in. But then also within that, allow friendships to ebb and flow. Like if something is not going, like it's okay if your first couple friends end up not being the friends that you make it that stick around. Like that's totally okay. Just being open to new friendships as well as things come in and meeting people in classes, whether it's your first semester or your fifth. So just be okay with change too. And if anything, rejoice in it and allow people to come in and come out of your life.
Megan, you want to go next?
Yes. I would encourage you to go to all the events on campus. You don't have to go to all of them, but like as we host so many fun events, we've had like casino night or we've had I don't know, craft nights. We've had like a bunch of fun events like through our student government, but we've also had a lot of fun events through our resident assistants and our campus ministry coordinators. So I would highly, highly, highly recommend you going to like at least one prime time before you before the year's over, or just going to an ASWO event. It's always really fun.
Thanks, Megan. Carly, you want to finish this up?
Yeah. I would say take advantage of the dining hall as a place to meet people and to make friends. I met so many friends there freshman year. And it was a great experience. I got to sit at new tables and I have a great friend group, and the dining hall is honestly part of that. So go to the dining hall and take advantage of your meals there.
Thanks, Carly. And thanks to all the student panelists for being willing to share a little bit about their experience here at Whitworth, share about the residence halls that they care about. And thanks to you all, future Whitworth Pirates of starting in fall of 2024. Thanks for hopping on and listening. Hopefully this was useful. Hopefully you got some good information. Maybe you want to adjust your housing preference form. Feel free to do that. You won't be dropped in line. You could just stay at your same spot. But yeah. Thank you guys and have a wonderful evening.